You already know how this ends. You know who makes it. You know who doesn't. So why are you watching it again? Not because you forgot the story, but because your brain remembers how it felt. It's late. The room's quiet. Your phone or TV is glowing while you scroll endlessly through Netflix, Hulu, or HBO. There's everything. Brand new shows, award-winning movies, stories you've never seen before. You scroll past all of them, again and again. Then, without really thinking about it, you stop. Not on something new, but on something familiar. Something you've already watched, maybe more than once. Friends, The Office, Breaking Bad, Harry Potter, How I Met Your Mother, The Vampire Diaries. You already know exactly what's going to happen, and you still hit play. At first, this habit seems kind of strange, but it's actually one of the most common behaviors in modern entertainment. People almost never stop to ask why they keep rewatching the same shows when there's new content everywhere. It feels automatic. And the answer has almost nothing to do with taste, boredom, or creativity. It has everything to do with how the human brain deals with comfort, stress, and uncertainty. Why knowing the end feels good. When you watch something new, your brain is working nonstop. It's predicting what might happen next, getting ready for emotional highs and crashes, staying alert for surprises. That takes energy. But when you rewatch something familiar, your brain relaxes, no guessing, no uncertainty, no emotional jump scares waiting around the corner. You already know how it ends, and that knowledge feels safe. That's why Friends is still one of the most rewatched shows ever. People don't really sit down to watch Friends like they do a new drama. They live with it. It's on while they cook, while they clean, while they work, while they fall asleep. The characters stop feeling fictional and start feeling familiar. Rachel's still figuring life out. Ross is still overthinking everything. Monica's still controlling chaos. Chandler's still hiding insecurity behind jokes. Joey's still simple and loyal. Phoebe's still unpredictable and weirdly wise. Nothing truly bad ever happens, and that's the point. In real life, friendships fade. People move away. Routines fall apart. But in Friends? The apartments never change. Central Perk is always there. No matter how chaotic life gets, that world stays exactly the same. It's emotional consistency in a world that almost never offers it. The same thing applies to The Office. Every episode follows patterns you already know by heart. Michael will say something wildly inappropriate. Dwight will take rules way too seriously. Jim will look at the camera. Pam will quietly react. None of this surprises you. And that's exactly why it works. The humor isn't about shock anymore. It's about anticipation. You laugh because you know what's coming. Psychologists call this cognitive ease. When your brain recognizes patterns, it doesn't have to work as hard. Rewatching familiar shows lets your mind relax. Without getting bored, it's entertainment that doesn't demand energy, which is why people go back to it after long, exhausting days. A lot of people say they rewatch shows as background noise, but that's not the whole truth. You don't pick random shows for background noise. You pick safe ones. No one puts on a brand new psychological thriller while doing chores. They put on Friends, The Office, Parks and Recreation, How I Met Your Mother. These shows don't demand attention, but they still make you feel less alone. Silence can feel heavy, especially when you're alone. Familiar voices fill that silence without asking anything from you. The characters don't judge. They don't expect replies. They don't leave. They just exist. And sometimes that quiet companionship is exactly what the brain needs. Why people rewatch intense dramas? Rewatching isn't just for sitcoms. A lot of people rewatch intense dramas like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. The second time feels completely different from the first. The anxiety disappears. You're not stressed about what's going to happen. You're just watching how it happens. When you rewatch Breaking Bad, you start noticing the warning signs, the small choices, the tiny moments that slowly lead to disaster. You're not trapped inside the story anymore. You're watching it from above. That sense of control feels comforting, especially in a real world that rarely gives clear cause and effect answers. Harry Potter isn't just rewatched. It's a ritual, every holiday season, rainy weekends, stressful phases of life. The moment the music starts and Hogwarts appears, the outside world gets quieter. It feels like going home, even if you've never been there. Psychologists have noticed something interesting. People rewatch familiar content more during stressful times. Breakups, burnout, uncertainty. That doesn't mean they're avoiding life. It means they're regulating their emotions. Uncertainty is exhausting, and rewatching removes it completely. Some people criticize rewatching and say it means you're stuck in the past. That's not true. Rewatching isn't about nostalgia. It's about emotional safety. You don't rewatch these shows because they're old. You rewatch them because they don't overwhelm you. Another reason rewatching works? You change, even when the show doesn't. At different stages of life, you relate to different characters. The same story reflects new parts of you, which makes it feel fresh even when it's familiar. Real life rarely gives clean endings. TV shows and movies do. Rewatching lets you experience closure again and again. Endings that make sense, music that fades out, stories that actually finish. Closure is rare, and familiar stories give it to you whenever you need it. At its core, rewatching isn't a lack of curiosity. It's a response to modern life. Familiarity feels safe. Predictability feels calm. Characters feel like company. Stories feel complete. In a world that never slows down, rewatching is rest. So if you're watching the same show again tonight, it doesn't mean you're boring, lazy, or stuck. It means you're human. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't chasing something new. Sometimes it's choosing something that already knows you and pressing play anyway.